Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to episode 02 of the Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast. In this episode we interview Julie Tate, the festival director, about the festival itself, and Mike tells us everything he loves about Kendal town. Welcome to episode 02 of the Comic Art Festival podcast. Hello. We apologise now in advance for Nikki's voice.
Oh, you're bringing that straight up, are we?
Straight up.
Okay.
In this episode, she is a bit husky.
Husky is the best way to put it.
Flu-like.
Definitely flu-like.
But that's still alive.
I'm still here. I'm still clinging on.
Clinging on to life.
I don't think it's quite that bad now.
It's like the death of Superman. It's like Batman Nightfall.
I'm not sure it's quite that dramatic, but I kind of like that. Carry on.
So, in this episode, we've got Mike on to do talk a lot about Kendal and what he likes about Kendal.
Yes.
Now, our plan was also to do a big thing about Kendal. However, he's done such a good
He'd
job.
put us to shame, really,
Yeah.
wouldn't he? Yes.
We haven't got Chris in this one.
No.
He's back next episode. But we do have an interview with Julie Tate, the director of the Comic Art Festival.
We do.
Which we enjoyed a nice cup of coffee.
It was lovely.
Whilst doing the interview there.
Yes.
So that will be on shortly. One thing we didn't mention about the podcast last time was the fact that we're going to be having music on the show.
Yes, we are.
We are. Now, with podcasts and licensing laws and all this, that and the other, you're not allowed to play music because of the licensing laws normally.
Yes, yeah.
However, the music we'll be having is all we're going to have permission from the artist involved.
Yes, and it's all original work.
It's all original work, so we're fine to play it. So, originally it started out where we're just going to focus on local bands, which we are. Every episode the plan is to have close out of a local artist, whether it be from Kendal itself, Cumbria, or North sort of Lancashire, which is Lancaster and so forth. However, on our first two shows, we've also got music from artists themselves.
Yes, and that is rather good.
Yeah, so how often this will happen, we'll see. We don't know.
We'll have to see how many come out the woodwork as being, little singers.
Or drummers.
Or drummers.
Or whatever.
Or musicians.
So, yeah, we'll have music in the show, which I think is quite cool and different.
Yes, I like that.
So, if you are from the Cumbria or North Lancashire area, and you've got music you'd like us to play, then get in touch with us.
Yes, please do.
comicartpodcast@gmail.com is where to contact us, or on Twitter or Facebook.
Yes. Yeah, we're pretty easy to find.
We're pretty easy to find, and we're pretty easy to please with music as long as it's original.
Yes.
We're certainly interested. We've got nothing to gain or lose. We will happily promote your music on the show. So, Kendal.
Yes.
Mike's going to talk a lot about Kendal.
Yes.
What do you love about Kendal? Just in a sort of short sentence.
I love the heart that Kendal has.
In your husky voice.
In my husky voice.
What do you mean by that?
It has a life beat to it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of towns you go to now which are just dying, and Kendal is thriving in its community and what it does. It puts on for everyone. It's a thriving town, and I love it. It's contagious. It's probably not what I call.
Like what? Yeah, I'm about to say exactly what you. I completely agree. I've only just moved here myself, as we explained. Before that, I wasn't living that far away. But yeah, Kendal was a place he came because it was so much going on.
Yeah.
You've also got the Lake District itself.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Lake Windermere and Coniston and all the others.
Yes.
Because I know them all.
No, but I want to visit them all.
All them hills.
All mountains.
Although you felt a bit sick the other day in a car driving down back roads.
Oh, there's some real windy roads, isn't there?
There's sheep in those roads.
And then really, really close to the side of the roads is the dry stone walls, which can make you just breathe in a little.
That's just my sports driving.
Is that your sports driving, is it? Oh, hugging the curves.
The other thing in Kendal is, which we've not mentioned, which is involved with the Costume Comic Festival, is Ruskin's Bar, which you've not seen yet. But
no.
Each year they do it out to a theme.
I can't wait.
This year we know the theme. I'm not going to say because I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet, but it'll come out no doubt soon enough. So yeah, the fact that bars as well get involved
Oh yeah, everyone gets involved.
Everyone gets involved.
The schools get involved. Shops get involved. Everyone gets involved. It's lovely.
So Julie's going to talk about that more. So Matt's going to talk more about Kendal itself. Mm-hmm. Other than that, we'll be back on the other side.
Ooh.
Mike's Mutterings.
Hi there, I'm Mike, and welcome again to another of my interruptions to Ian and Nikki's normal show. This episode, I just wanted to say a little about Kendal itself, really, the host of the Lakes International Comic Art Festival. And I moved here in late 2012, and as we started to find our feet around the area and explore Kendal a bit, one of the first things that we found out was the town's got a real track record for hosting festivals and events of all sorts. It's got a pretty full diary for the year, really. I mean, there's some of the ones that occur every year are things like the Mountain Festival for your outdoor enthusiasts, with loads of speakers and workshops and films and stuff. There was the absolutely mad Mint Fest, which is basically the town gets invaded by street art performers from, well, not just the UK, from abroad as well, and it's just seriously mad. There was kind of various events and venues, but the streets themselves are just packed with some of the weirdest acts ever. And I think that's going by a different name now from last year. And then there's like the Torchlight Festival, which is a very local traditional one, which I think bizarrely only started back in the 70s. And it's kind of a mass processional of floats, dance troupes and bands and Joe Public themselves. It's an interesting sight. We've only done that a couple of times, and then it kind of wasn't on for a few years, but it's definitely back in to the calendar now. There's loads of food festivals, and one thing we realised quite quickly was that the Brewery Arts Centre was kind of in the thick of it all. The Brewery Arts Centre, it's just that really. It's a cinema and theatre, but it's got a great arts programme, and it supports all the various festivals that go on throughout the year, as well as running their own festivals, actually. Things like comedy and dance festivals and the like. And I do remember, just after we first moved here, they did an anime festival, which had drawing workshops and a run of manga films, and I'm sure there was one that wasn't released yet at Studio Ghibli. And it's something they do now as part of the Comic Fest. But the Brewery Arts is a big part of the festival as well. And I guess that brings me nicely to the Comic Arts Festival itself. When the first festival was advertised for 2013, I really didn't know what to expect. As a couple, we'd gone to new comic conventions before, and I knew they sort of start small and build up over time, so I guess we weren't really expecting much more than a small marketplace of comic shop stalls and maybe some second-hand nerd car boot stuff. But we were really wrong. They went all out on their first debut and guaranteed their space on the Kendal calendar from that point onwards. The hub of the festival is, of course, the clock tower in the centre of the town. But I think this is where you begin to understand the difference between a convention and a festival. When you visit a comic convention, you'll probably kind of see a procession of like cosplayers walking through the town, the same direction as you to get to the convention centre. But the Comic Arts Festival doesn't really have a centre as such. It's the whole town that's the festival. Shops all over. They convert their windows into comic art displays, and I'm talking all manner of shops. And these are spread all the way across town, and anywhere that you can host an event or a talk is used. The events are spread all over. There's school comic art projects as well, so schools display their stuff all over. There's been a few over the years. A lot of them use shop windows as well, especially if the shop owner has a kid going to a certain school. They kind of get roped into doing the display for them. And there's even shop staff that kind of have their own cosplay competition if they've got to work on the day, which is quite cool. The content of the festival is different too. One thing that kind of bugs me about conventions is the lack of comics, and like there's an abundance of comic merchandise, t-shirts and mugs and bobbleheads and you name it. The emphasis in Kendal is on the art and the writing, both big and small comic shops and publishers, to indie self-publishers and artists themselves. It's not a daytime thing either. It's kind of a whole weekend. So there's events running in the evenings. The local college turns its lecture rooms over to like writer and artist workshops and events, and it's no surprise the audience is different too. There's a lot for the hardcore comic art fans, but there's also a lot for the family as well. There's specific events for them, and there's a kids art zone in the shopping centre, and there's a growing cosplay crowd, but they are vastly outnumbered by the kids in their superhero costumes, and it's really cool to see as you walk around town. I love the fact that they really went for it the first time, and they've still continued to grow it year on year. Hopefully that's given you a taste of why I love Kendal and the festival, and why it's kind of made me feel more at home here than ever. Hopefully, in my next interruption, I'm going to cover some of the stuff that I'm either into at the moment or have been in the past, and I don't think I can get away without doing something on 2000 AD. So, till then, thanks a lot.
We are in Marks & Spencer Cafe.
Yes.
Having a nice coffee.
I love
Coffee. We have with us Julie Tate, the director of the Comic Art Festival. Say hello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming along here.
It's my pleasure, especially
here. Yeah, your choice. We choose
a lot about me,
the lower class establishments like Costa, but no, M&S is where we come.
Yes, as I said, it makes me feel young.
Actually,
fair point. Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
But let's not go there.
No, because people might be listening. So, Julie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, crikey, where to start?
Yes.
Now, that's the ultimate question, is it? Tell me about yourself.
Tell me about
your
yourself.
childhood. So I'm Julie Tate. I'm actually just 50 years old, so I thought I'd start with that.
Have you noticed, just jumping into that, we've all said our ages on the show.
Yes.
I don't know why we've done that.
You remembered your age.
Well, I'm doing it because I'm playing for time. Well, I'll try and answer your question where to start, but I'll just start with comics, because actually everything starts and finishes pretty much for me at the moment with comics. So, sad or as wonderful as it sounds. My life is pretty much taken up with organising a comic art festival, reading comics, reading more comics, and just having a wonderful time. In many respects, I think I say to loads of people, it might sound a bit cheesy, I've kind of found my place. I've been working in the arts, cultural sector, as some people like to call it, for a long time, more than 20 years, and pretty much in every nook and cranny of the arts. I've worked with sort of major venues. I've worked in arts and education, community arts, in different parts of the country, but I've found the best place in many respects, both geographically and also in terms of the art form, with comics. My sort of political agenda has always been access to the arts for everybody. It's something that I believe a lot of arts organisations and funders and stuff like that talk about, but they don't really deliver. Yeah. And I think that comics is the absolutely perfect way of doing that. I love festivals, that's the other thing that I love. I like people getting together, real people, not virtual, in real places, and just celebrating something that they all enjoy and appreciate, and it takes you out of the ordinary and all that kind of stuff. So my experience has been in the festival world and then most recently in comics, and if you bring the two together, it's dynamite. And as you can probably gather, I'm extremely enthusiastic, passionate and addicted to the whole thing.
So how
I wish you hadn't asked now.
No, that's a very detailed answer. We're liking that.
Sorry. Stream of consciousness.
So how did the festival start then? Because obviously you'd done, previous to this, you were doing other festivals within the Kendal and Cumbria area. Yeah. And then this one suddenly came about.
Well, as you were saying on one of the previous podcasts, you, Ian in particular, was there at the very beginning. Bizarrely, I was literally having conversations about what do you think about this idea, and then we were off. And actually, I could blame Ian to some degree, I suppose. I'll blame Nikki as well now, of course. But
you weren't there. You weren't involved.
For encouraging him. But actually, it was a few people saying, yeah, great, go for it, that kind of really got the thing on the road. So all credit to everybody else as well. But the short story is that, as I said, I've been working in sort of the festival world for a long time. I organised a programme called Lakes Alive, which ran over 4 years of the Olympics. It was an Olympic programme across Cumbria, and it was outdoor performance, it was street arts. So I got to 2012, and obviously that was going to finish because the Olympics was happening, and it was twiddling thumbs, what to do next? And basically, I've sort of got to know socially Sean Phillips and his wonderful wife Jeanette, and happened one day just to say to Sean, what do you think about the Comic Art Festival up here? And he said in his usual extremely complex way, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah. And then he suggested I got hold of Brian Talbot, who knows everybody, and Brian was equally as enthusiastic. Again, a longer story, maybe it's somebody you'll speak to at some point, because he's got a very interesting tale to tell about the lakes as much as anything, and he said let's go for it, and basically gave me lots of contacts, so I kind of jumped over a few stages and we were off, but the real reason that I put the thing together was because of my son Finn, who again Ian knows because he used to hang out a lot in game,
in our shop,
who is big into comics and has Asperger's syndrome, so when he's into something he's really into it. And I suggested it to him and he thought it was a great idea. Of course now it's the most embarrassing thing ever, and he's disassociated himself entirely from me comics and the festival. But anyway, so there was that kind of element to it as well, and the fact that we'd both recently been to Capel, which was a festival, no it wasn't a festival, a convention in London run by Mark Miller and his wife, and it was lovely. I mean, the people there were just wonderful. Fell in love with comic audiences and creators. But I just felt that there was something missing from it, and then realised that actually comic art events were mostly those kind of events, and I'm not dissing them at all, but it felt like, there was more to appreciate and celebrate. It wasn't just about marketplaces and flipping gear. And that was perhaps letting down some of the fans, but also there is evidently a massive audience out there that's not being appreciated and tapped into. Lots of people reading comics secretly that don't really feel comfortable at a convention.
Yeah.
That's a long story, isn't it? But basically all those factors came together, and I'm, as people who met me will realise, a bit bonkers, and just thought I'll do it. No idea about how to make it happen financially. But with the will of lots of people, we managed to pull it together, and 2013 was the inaugural festival.
How did you come out with the idea, though, of, again, it's very different to a convention, of it being in different locations around the town? Because, again, you don't see anywhere, certainly in the UK, that does anything like that. No. How did that come together?
Very good. You're good at these questions, okay. But first of all, I knew about European-style festivals from my experience of Mintfest, which was our Kendal-based street arts festival that had been running since 2007, which is very much about taking over the whole town, about changing the culture and nature of a place for a weekend. So I felt that was possible, even though comics is mostly indoors, obviously. And we'd gone for October, which made it very much an indoor thing. But so there was that element to it, and also obviously in a place like Kendal, there isn't there are big venues, but there aren't big hangar style venues, convention centres, thank goodness. But actually the closest that we've got, which is arguably the leisure centre, is just, in my view, and don't repeat this to the leisure centre people, it didn't have an environment or an atmosphere that...
Well, no, it's a leisure centre, it's not designed for that sort of thing, really.
So anyway, so the concept was to take the place over, and I mean, fortunately, because that's where my experience comes from, I could kind of see how to do that. Whereas if you're doing it from a standing start, maybe it would be a bit complicated. And also I had the relationships already with a lot of businesses and venues. So that was kind of the idea. And also the critical thing, I think, was to make it a festival that was celebrating every genre, because I think one of the things about conventions is often they'll focus mostly on superhero and American market, as you know. Or they'll be a bit like the East London Comic Art Fest, which is fantastic, more arty and illustrator focused. And I mean, one great festival is Thought Bubble, which is our nearest neighbour in Leeds.
We need to go and have a look at that.
You must. I mean, it is amazing. It's massive, but it's in Leeds, so you can't take over. Arguably, you can't. Not that you've got squillions of pounds in anywhere. You can't take over a whole city. So. So I was thinking we can offer something quite different. We have said from the start we're the only event of its kind, which I think is true.
But you've got businesses involved as far as Windows takeover and so forth. Whose idea was that? How did you come up with that idea? Because that is so original as well.
Well, I don't know if there's something as an original idea.
Okay.
Good plagiarise it. No. I knew that was the kind of thing that happens in Europe quite a lot. Yeah, but also actually Kendal has had a Windows trail of art, not of comic art, in the past, which worked quite well. But it seemed kind of obvious, really. I don't know. It just
brings the town together as well, doesn't it? Because everyone can have their little moment, and it just links it all lovely, actually.
Well, what's been great is it's grown Poshwood organically, isn't it? I mean, we haven't had to go bash down people's doors. They've said, "Oh, can we do it now? Can we do it now?" So every year it's grown.
Yeah, and the schools are involved, aren't they? Their art in there and everything. It's lovely.
And people do all sorts of things just very quick, like Premier Inn staff in the first year all dressed up as superheroes, and stuff like that, which is great. And so people just kind of find their own way into it, really. And we're not. We don't preach. Some places might be a bit sniffy, for example, about everyone dressing up as Wonder Woman and Superman. I don't give monkeys. I think if that's what they want to do to contribute, and it's nothing's offensive about that.
Yeah.
Why not?
Great.
I was Clark Kent year one.
Were you?
Yeah, not Superman, Clark Kent.
Oh, bless you.
With a t-shirt showing it. So talk to us a bit about your Facebook and Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Because every day, at least once or twice a day, there's a really neat piece of art going up there. Who's responsible for that, and who comes up with the ideas to keep that going? Because it's really good. It's really interesting.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. This is going to sound terribly nepotistic, having just talked about my son, but it's my sister, who's, I'm sure she won't mind me saying as bonkers as I am, and she does the Facebook, and she has done since the very beginning. She's based in Dalton, bless her, and she's just really enthusiastic about Facebook and really trying to expose the really good quality art out there.
Yeah.
And she has the time and the willingness to do the research.
No, it's brilliant. It just pops up every day, at least one piece of art up on there. So that is just Comic Art Festival on Facebook.
It is.
Obviously, you've got the website, comicartfestival.com. Tell us a little bit about what's up and coming there.
Well, this ongoing story of websites, it's never quite been what we wanted it to be. Getting there slowly, we think. Touchwood, techno stuff to one side, that we've got the best format now, and we're going to launch it next week.
Ooh, so that'll be out by the time this is out?
Yes, it will, indeed. And it will also reveal the new ticketing system which we're introducing this year, which again is based on people's feedback. So I'm hoping that everyone will welcome that. Probably not everyone will, but that's just the way these things go.
You can't please everyone.
No, try.
So throughout the years, what's been the favourite comic that you've read these past? What stands out?
What stands out? Oh, a couple actually immediately come to mind. We'll probably change this later. One is The Now of Brown by Glyn Dillon. Glyn, as some people might know, is the main concept artist on the recent Star Wars films.
Okay.
So he's a very well-known storyboarder. He used to work with Jamie Hewlett quite a lot, who was Tank Girl and Gorillas and stuff like that. A cool guy. And he did this remarkable piece which still wins awards, which is kind of about obsessive-compulsive disorder, actually, which sounds a bit serious, but as we know with comics, it brings the issues to life in a really creative and unusual way, and the artwork's just fabulous. So it's that one. Then from last year, and again it sounds a bit kind of too close to home, is Dave McKean's Black Dog, which we're hugely proud of and I think is remarkable. I'm talking about comics that make my heart beat fast. And then I'm afraid, again, it sounds dreadful, but Sean Phillips and Kill or Be Killed, all of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips.
I've just started reading that, and straight away it's pulled me in.
Yeah, it's
straight away.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant duo, as we know, that have been producing amazing crime and noir stuff for ages, but this just really works. I mean, Fade Out's brilliant as well. Oh God, I could go on forever.
That's good. Right, so just to finish off then, so where can people find the information they need for the festival?
The website, and the podcast. The website, www.comicartfestival.com.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Julie.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Room for one lawgiver, please.
Judge Dredd. Or is it just Dredd? Fancy seeing you here.
Catwoman, you also here for the Comic Art Festival, or a stint in the ISO cubes?
Of course. I love to see my makers in action. Watch it, Greenie.
Careful, Hulk. In this town we have a saying. Once is a coincidence, twice is a booking offence.
I think he booked the events on the website.
Huh?
ComicArtFestival.com. It's got all the perfect information about the event.
Yeah, so's my fist. Drock, I'm out of here. Not standing around with those 4 tortoises that have just entered the building.
Cowabunga, dude!
Find out all about the Lakes International Comic Art Festival and booking information at www.comicartfestival.com.
So that's it. That's episode 02. So yes. Between the 2 episodes, you now know all about us, the festival, and Kendal.
Yes. What more could you want?
What more could you want? The Comic Art Festival website is up and running. The new design is out.
Oh, it looks amazing.
If you're listening to this for the 2017 show, we are 27. What year are we on?
2017.
We are 2017.
Yeah.
I'm really confusing myself.
You are, aren't you?
If you're listening to it for that, then guest list is up.
Yes.
There is more to be announced, I believe, but certainly the starter list, there's a lot of names up there.
There's a lot of fun coming our way.
So go and have a nosy over there, comicartfestival.com, and you can buy your tickets, which are day passes, so you get to see whatever you want.
Which I think is a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, no more purchasing for exact events. Go and see what you want. Go and see those things that you weren't quite sure.
Yeah, well, that means,
really
isn't
want
it?
To put £8 to go and see that. But now you can just go and see it.
Yeah, you can dip your toe into different things.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, which I think is brilliant. So, yeah, comicartfestival.com for all information on the festival. And as we said, we will be available, if you found us, you've already, you know this, on iTunes or any other download device.
Yeah.
comicartpodcast.uk is our website. Also, feel free to email us on the email I said earlier on in the show that I can't remember. Twitter at comicartfestpod, or Facebook Comic Art Podcast as well.
That's a lot to remember. I'm quite impressed you remembered all that.
Thank you. And if you enjoy it, please review us on iTunes.
Yes.
Please, it's really important that we get these reviews in.
Yes.
Tell your friends. Tell the world.
Tell the world.
The more people that tell us all about what they think of us and everything, the better we are. What?
That was just a scary moment then.
Thank you. So, thank you for listening to these first 2 episodes. Episode 1 will be here on your feed straight after this.
Whoa.
I know, it's amazing.
That's scary stuff.
And we will be out the first of every month thereafter. Keep an eye on Twitter for the guests.
Yes.
That we're interviewing.
Yes.
Other than that, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoy the actual... Oh, one more thing.
Oh. There's a pointy finger.
If you see us at the festival, whichever year you come...
Yes.
Come and say hello. We'll have shirts
please say hello. Yeah, we're going to have like hoodies
and say
or something on with. We'll be emblazoned. Exactly. I might wear a tiara.
Exactly.
Possibly flashing lights.
And last thing before we go, episode 1, big competition.
Oh, it's amazing.
Big competition.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got like a stash, and it's like
stash of competition prizes.
We want to keep them though.
No, can't. Must give away.
So we just stroke them.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you on episode 1.
Yeah, see you then.
Thank you for listening. Find out more about the festival at comicartfestival.com. Follow the podcast on Twitter at comicartfestpod. And have a listen to our other show at houseofgeek.org.uk.